So, but he hadn't shown up yet.
Okay,
They're telling
thank you,
you.
Warren.
Yeah.
Warren, do you think he's on his way? Will he be here pretty soon?
You know, I don't know. He said he'd be right up here.
Okay.
So,
Okay, he just texted me and he said, yes, he is coming.
Okay.
So,
get a chair for me.
but it is 10:32. We have 11 board members present. Tom, do you want to wait a little longer or,
Yeah, Mary, let's just give him a couple more minutes.
okay.
And Mark just got here.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Thank
Didn't see us.
So something's jacked on her microphone for some reason. I can't get through. So I got my phone on. You want to scream and yell?
Can you tell them how many people are on there?
Yeah, we have a total of 23 people in the meeting. I'm trying to kind of keep a count
23 people in the
of who's
meeting.
here.
See, they need to turn off their microphone.
Well, how does Susan Hunter get in the meeting?
Yeah, so if anybody other than the board members and Raymond Sanchez, if you could mute yourselves until later, everybody will get a chance to speak.
How do we know when that is? And I'll be glad to.
We'll let you know. And you
Okay.
can raise your hand when you want to talk also.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out when do we get back on here?
Oh,
For
no,
that
you
part.
can stay on. We just would like you to mute yourself so we're not.
Oh,
sure
you
who
bet.
all
Yeah,
are.
I'm not gonna say a word. Okay, thank you.
All right, Mark, you there?
All 12 board members are here and Raymond's here.
Okay, great. So it's, let's call this meeting to order. It's 10:34, Tuesday, June 14th, 2022 for our emergency meeting for the Board of Trustees. Mary, do we have a quorum?
We do.
Okay, great. So we're just going to move right along, and I don't think this will take too long, folks, but we'll move right on to the discussion item. We're going to discuss item I on the New Mexico Racing Commission's agenda for the New Mexico Horse Breeders Association to be recognized as quote unquote the Horsemen's Group in the state of New Mexico. I have a couple of brief remarks, and then I'm going to ask any board members that want to chime in, give them the opportunity to speak. Just want to make it clear to everybody that contrary to what you may have seen or heard, the breeders have not been asked by the commission, nor have we solicited this issue from the commission. It's important to note that on the commission's agenda, this is listed as a discussion item, implying that a vote will not be taken by the commission. That's at least my understanding. And I also understand there's lots of strong feelings regarding this, but at this point, we need to see what the commission has to say about this at their Thursday meeting. And I'm sure, well, I will be attending, of course, and I'm sure a lot of you will be as also. So essentially, we just need to keep our powder dry and see which way this thing is going to go until any decision is reached. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Maybe, Mary, how do you feel about this? Since we've got Mr. Sanchez, our legal counsel, on the call, should we just let him go ahead and do his thing before we go to the board?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. I think Mr. Sanchez's time, it might be a little limited. So if we could ask him to go ahead and speak to the group.
Okay, I agree. Raymond, do you mind? Are you ready to go?
I think, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, well, I
Mr. Sanchez.
appreciate you asking me to help you out. I've reviewed everything that I have that's been sent to me, all the way from Mr. Mitchell's letter. I've reviewed the Horsemen's Act. I've reviewed everything dealing with simulcasting. And my advice to you is just as you said, Mr. Chairman. Everybody ought to keep their powder dry. We ought not take a position on this at this time because it's not for us to make a decision.
Is that it?
No, he's froze.
Oh,
Raymond, if you can hear us, your signal just froze on us. Mary, can you contact him?
Sarah? Yeah, I get that.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, I think we did.
Yes.
Can you try to reach him?
Yeah.
Down there.
I'll ask him to sign back on.
I can hear a little better. Then if we need to talk, we can talk. Yeah.
For any of you that have just joined, the Breeders' Legal Counsel, Raymond Sanchez, was just beginning to address the issue at hand. And he has the materials that Mary sent him, including the letter from the Horsemen's attorney, Gary Mitchell. And apparently his signal is frozen and Mary's trying to reach him and let him know. So we appreciate your patience. We'd like to hear what Mr. Sanchez has to say.
Yeah, I've asked him to call back in.
Okay, well, maybe while we're doing that, Mary, are there any other board members at this point that would like to weigh in? And I'd begin with First Vice President Mike Logan. Mike, do you want to address this?
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I have a few things to say. I think I'd be remiss by not saying, but you know, a lot of this is the actual subject is in limbo, as we all know, and for people just to start throwing accusations and innuendos and unfounded facts is really disheartening. You know, I know everyone on this board, and I would have to say that the majority of you I know well, and all of us are, I think, front row people. And by that, I mean, I think everybody's
Lost it, I
honest.
just got it back.
Shall I continue?
Yeah,
I'm
Mike,
sorry, Mike.
Raymond, if you could just let Mr. Logan finish his remarks, then we'll go to you if that's okay.
So, you know, I know everybody is really upset about this, and I just want to take what I think is our board's stance is, you know, we're here to promote breeding in New Mexico, and breeding, we're breeding racehorses, and so we have a vested interest in the entire industry. And to think, you know, that people are trying to drive a wedge between horsemen and breeders is crazy, because if you look at most of the breeders on the board, we're actually horsemen too. We have race horses, we're active right now, and in turn, we're members of the New Mexico Horsemen's Association. And so to think that we're in collusion with someone or racketeering is just absolutely ludicrous. And, you know, y'all know how proactive I am, and that's what we're here for. You know, we've had several years of issues, and you know, we need to calm down and get these things behind us, and just go forward from here. Anyway, with that, I'll turn it over back to you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Mr. Sanchez, are you back online? Can you hear
Yeah,
us?
I'm back on. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but
That's okay.
I lost all of you. Anyway,
Okay.
you know, I was basically telling you that I just heard what he said, and I believe as he does, and I believe as you do, Mr. Chairman, that the best approach to this is just to sit back and watch it happen. I don't think we need to participate in terms of trying to tell the commission that we want to do this. It's not within our prerogative. The statute is pretty clear that it's the responsibility of the New Mexico Horsemen's Association. I'm not sure where the commission is coming from in terms of being able to that language, but they may have the right to do that. I've looked at everything that's been said here, and I've read Gary's stuff. I've read everybody else's. I've read the statutes. I've read the notes that have been sent to me. I've also read the allegations that are being made by one of the members of your commission on the Board of Trustees, and nothing in that could be further from the truth. That as I know the facts, and I have also visited with a couple of people on the commission, and they have no idea, nor do they have any belief that we are in collusion with anybody trying to put this thing together. So I think the best approach, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Trustees, is just to sit back and see what the commission decides. I don't think they're going to push this. They're gonna, it's an issue between them based upon the lawsuit that's been filed. So, you know, that's about all I could say. Fred and I have both reviewed the statutes. We don't see where this comes in and how that will be effective and how it'll affect the breeders, because the only thing that would change is that you would be then the ones who make a decision on the signal. And that would be an interesting change in policy. And I'm not sure that that's what you want to be doing at this time.
Great.
Thank you, Raymond. Appreciate that. Raymond, if you want to stick around, you're more than welcome. If you have other things to do, we understand. But with that, I'd like to give our second vice president, Werner Query, an opportunity to speak if he wishes.
How can we speak on this deal?
Werner?
Well, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Can you? I think this is something that we need to stay away from as much as we possibly can. We told the Horsemen's Association that we wanted to stay kind of neutral. And on this deal here, I think we want to stay neutral. I don't think we want to get involved in it. I don't like the idea of it. I will tell you that at all, because it puts us in a position, and I just don't want the Horsemen to be left out and have it come to where they have one entity, the Racing Commission has one entity to work with, and us being that entity. And I don't think that's a good idea at all. So as far as trying to take over that position that the New Mexico Horsemen have at this time, I do not think it is a good idea.
Good.
Thank you, Werner. Okay. Any other board members that would wish to chime in? Now is your opportunity.
Vanessa had her hand up. I guess she took it down.
Well, I just wanted to note that I have questions from members that I intend to ask, and they want answered. So that's all I've got for now, besides a motion to amend the agenda. So I'll wait.
Okay, any other board member?
Helen has her hand up.
Helen, please go ahead.
I just wonder if it's legal for the commission to change the language without it going before legislature. I just wonder how can they just go through there and change up stuff without it? Isn't that all that stuff supposed to be legislated?
Well, maybe Raymond can weigh in on this. This is Tom again, but I'm looking at, I believe this is the Horse Racing Act. And it says, let me get this right. In the event, if you bear with me, I'll read this. In the event that money allocated to the New Mexico Horsemen's Association pursuant to the Horse Racing Act cannot be received or administered by the New Mexico Horsemen's Association, the commission or another organization designated by the commission and under the absolute control of the commission shall receive and administer the money that is allocated, and it quotes statute. Now, obviously, this is talking about money and not addressing the simulcast signal. But I thought that was interesting because it just, I'm not an attorney, but just reading this, it looks like the commission has significant control. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't know if Raymond's still on the line if he wants to weigh in.
Answer that to the extent that the statute prevails over any regulations. And right, I think, Mr. Chairman, you hit on a very important provision that the commission and allocation of power to the commission that's given to them by the Horsemen's Act. But again, it doesn't relate to the language I quoted earlier about the New Mexico Horsemen's Association
Right.
having the power to enter into an agreement for the signal. And that's what I think that's what the commission's tried to get done, to take away that power of the horsemen's and turn it over to the breeders.
Oh, also the money.
And Nancy has her hand
Thank
up.
you,
If I may
Randy.
chime in to
Well, let's one at a time, folks. Any other board member that would like to weigh in?
Nancy has her hand up.
yes.
Nancy, can you unmute? You're muted.
I
There you
think
go.
we can all probably agree that the commission wants to squash the New Mexico Horsemen's Association. And it's another way that they're trying to do it. I completely disagree that that is right. I mean, the horsemen have represented us for years. I am a horseman. I am for the horsemen. And so I think it's just another way that they're doing it, and that we should just basically, whatever, I guess we do have to listen to what they say on Thursday, but that we're not going to help them do it. The horsemen and the breeders need to come together finally and play nice and be one group. They're trying to divide and conquer. The commission has done nothing to help the horsemen from letting those racetracks get run down until we just throw a fit, do like Bob's, they do anything to the barn area. So I think it's time for the breeders and the New Mexico Horsemen Association to come together as a group and stand as one unit.
All right, good.
Okay, Vanessa has her hand up.
Thank you. Helen, to kind of be specific as to your question, the Racing Commission doesn't care. Okay, they have absolutely no problem violating state statute. They have no problem refusing to follow court orders. And that's why there are multiple lawsuits involving them and the horsemen. And the Racing Commission is losing, and they are going to continue to lose. Now, specifically, I really don't care about ruffling you guys' feathers. I've been right about everything I've been trying to get in front of you people for the last year, and I'm aware of what several of you are involved in to try to silence me. And I'm not going to talk any more about that. You guys can talk about it in court. But I'm going to read some definitions to you people, and I want you to pay attention. First one is the word conspiracy. And you can ask Mr. Sanchez or Google or whomever you'd like to expound upon this. But conspiracy is an agreement between two or more people to commit an illegal act, along with an intent to achieve the agreement's goal. Even if they do not commit the crime to completion, they can be charged with conspiracy if they plan and take action to move their plan forward. Coercion is the act of forcing someone to do something through the use of intimidation or threats. A threat to harm a person in his or her career or reputation is extortion. A public or private official may also commit extortion under the color of office. And a great example of that would be one of our esteemed commissioners who loves to say that he's speaking on behalf of the governor. And man, we need to shut those horsemen down. So I want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind. Racketeering is a type of organized crime in which the perpetrator set up a coercive, fraudulent, extortionary, or otherwise illegal coordinated scheme or operation. Racketeering is not a single crime or a single criminal act, but an organized scheme. It may include many different crimes occurring over a period of time. Key requirements are it affects commerce, it occurs at an organizational level, and it involves a pattern of activity. For extortion under the color of office, the Hobbs Act prescribes heavy criminal penalties for acts of extortion that affect interstate commerce. The RICO Act applies to 35 different criminal offenses, and the definition of organized crime is any group of persons engaged in continuing illegal activity which has as its primary purpose the generation of profits. So while we all think about the definitions of what I have just said, I would like to make it very clear that I am aware of what several of you trustees have been involved in. Very aware. And I'm not going to go into details because that's going to come out later in court, but I want every single one of you on this recorded message in front of the eyes and ears of our membership to think very, very hard and very, very carefully about how you are going to answer the questions that I'm going to put in front of you in a few minutes.
Are you threatening?
Because these are going to be used. Absolutely.
Okay,
We
I
are going to be
just wanna
hearing and
clarify
seeing
that.
things in court that you guys
Point of
are going to have to
order,
explain.
Mr. President, point of order.
This
Point
is
of
a
order.
serious thing, Mr. Logan. Okay, we are discussing federal crimes. Okay, you cannot tell this membership or any person with any sense of amount of common sense that absolutely no trustee with the Horse Breeders Association has been involved in any way with any conversation with the Racing Commission or the tracks to name the Breeders Association as the horsemen's group for the state of New Mexico. It is preposterous and it is untrue. So I'm going to repeat. If you want to come at me here, kick me out of the meeting, you may certainly try to do so, but you need to think about the questions that I'm going to be asking you, and I would like you to answer them truthfully. Those are coming from the members, and
Start the
they
definition
deserve
of
to hear.
libel and slander too. Read that, Vanessa.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm happy to look them up. Would you like me to look up defamation, filing false police reports? I've got
Vanessa,
a question. I have a question.
Vanessa, please.
Oh, Tom, perfect.
We've given you
Breeders'
ample
Association
opportunity.
Spent
Please.
any money? Have we paid our attorney to investigate any trustee?
We are well off topic. So Vanessa, if you would give another board member.
Has the New Mexico Breeders Association paid our own attorney to investigate any trustee?
Mary, can you move Vanessa into the lobby?
Yeah, you're not going to answer that.
Mary,
Try to figure out how to do that. I'm sorry.
Warren, did you have something to say?
So you're gonna,
Well, so here's the deal. I don't know where this is, where this is headed. I'm sure not saying that I'm in agreement with what the commission is wanting to do. We're sure not. I don't think we need any more separation between the Horsemen and our own organization. Although, I mean, they haven't talked to us, they haven't asked us, so I guess we just need to see what they have to say and what they're going to try to do. But at the same time, too, I really don't think we need all this slander and libel and accusations and crazy stuff and threats. I mean, we're actually being threatened now. She made that plain. So I think we need to talk to the attorney, Mr. Sanchez, and, maybe kind of see what we need to do, because it's just sure disruptive towards getting done our business. So I don't know. And believe me, I've defended Vanessa before, as y'all well know, wanting things kept in order, but this is getting out of hand. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Mr. Sanchez, are you still with us?
He's there, but he may be on the phone or something.
Okay. Any other board member like to weigh in?
Susie, do you have your hand up?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay.
I was just back on the topic, all that other side. I agree with Berner and Nancy, and I think we all need to get back to where we used to be, where the Horsemen and the breeders work together. There's a division between us now, and it needs to go away. We need, because we're all one and the same. We all have the same goal, and that's to promote New Mexico racing and run it fair and do what we need to do to make it right. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Susie. Anybody else?
I don't know how to raise my hand, but
That's okay. We see you, Norma. Go ahead.
well, I think that, this is exactly what happened. What has happened to us is exactly what I feared. And that is that, it's going to create big divisions. Any lawsuit is going to do that. They're going to punch each other and everybody's going to get battered up, and the lawyers, no disrespect to Raymond, but the lawyers really come out on top. And I don't like to see this in our industry. I've really been really strong advocate of keeping out of the lawsuit and just doing our job, which is to administrate the Breeders Association. And they're gonna duke it out. And can you hear? There's Raymond. But anyways,
Yeah.
I don't like all the division, and what Vanessa has been talking about.
Seems to me like they're going crazy.
Could we please, Norma speaking, whoever that is, please, we need no crosstalk. Continue, Norma.
Anyway, probably the worst experience of my life has been this last couple of years, with Vanessa on the board with us. She has had terrible meetings. I can quote all kinds of stuff, just controversy and threats, and want to go knuckles across the table and vulgar language and just horrible things. And it's made a lot of our board members want to get off. I've heard several of them say, man, this is hard to take, but it just continues and continues. And the threats, the accusations, the lies, it's almost too much.
Thank you, Norma. Do we still have Mr. Sanchez?
Raymond, can you unmute? Can you unmute Raymond? There you
I'm
go.
unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
No,
right,
we can hear
Raymond,
you.
thank you. Warren, did you have a question for Mr. Sanchez?
Well, I guess it's been brought to my attention that, and I hate this because it's surely unprofessional and pretty crappy, but we are currently being threatened by one of the board members that were involved with racketeering and coercion and all sorts of stuff, which I don't know where she's getting any of this, but I don't know if there's something we can do, or, you know, I really think it's really hard for us to carry on our business when you're constantly being threatened or accused or liable. And so I just wondered if there's something we can do.
We've reviewed that over and over, and it's up to the board. The board has the exclusive power, and so does the membership, to exclude members and to get rid of members. Let me tell you something about the stuff that's going out. For instance, this last missive that went out to you about threatening to have a lawyer do something. You don't get a subpoena issued unless you have a lawsuit that's been filed, number one. Number two, you're not a public body under the HIPAA Act, so you don't have to respond to stuff that she's alleging you need to give her under HIPAA. She's a member of the commission, so all this stuff is available to her. Stuff of this sort does nothing but create a problem for you in your own minds, and that's unfortunate. The best point I can say is disregard most of this stuff. Go about your business doing what you're doing. None of the allegations that are being made are accurate, and they're not based on reality. So I think maybe we can think about this in a different way. I'll have to talk to Fred about it. I have an idea. I'd rather not discuss it at this time because I want to be sure that we are on strong legal grounds before I bring it up. But I have an idea of what to do to stop this.
Thank you, Raymond. Are there any other board members that would like to weigh in?
Helen? Helen, you need to unmute.
Okay, I got it.
I think we need to get back on point and talk about what we're supposed to be talking about. And I agree with Nancy, and I think we ought to vote, or like I say, just see what goes on. But I am sure enough against that proposal.
Okay. All righty, thank you. Any other discussion on this issue? But if not, we can move on to the next agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to check off now, unless you need me for anything else.
No, sir, and we very much appreciate you being here today and your insights. Thank you, Raymond. And say
Okay,
hello.
take care. Good luck with everything, folks.
Thank you,
And
sir.
just stay strong and don't let people get under your skin. You know, I
Yes.
have an old saying, don't give them free space in your mind. You don't need to, you don't need to do that. Okay.
Good deal. Thank you,
take care.
Raymond.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll move on
Tom,
to the
Tom,
second
we-
discussion item. Mary? Yes?
Did you want to let the other people in the meeting speak about this subject, or do you want to go on to the next subject?
Let's just
and
finish,
then-
let's finish the next agenda item, then we can open up the floor. Okay?
Okay, all right.
Okay, because I think this will be pretty quick. Hopefully. Nancy, get ready. I'm going to put you on the spot, but the next agenda item is the discussion regarding the HISA registration. You're a thoroughbred trainer with a lot of horses. You want to discuss what your experience regarding that has been so far?
Yeah, it's been real easy. I went and registered myself, took 3 or 4 minutes probably. All they asked was for my racing license number. And then I started registering the horses. I basically just needed their Coggins date. They have like 4 or 5 boxes you can check on what vaccinations you've done. I really couldn't find if they require vaccinations. So, I mean, I know what our state requires. So that's the dates I put what there is. There is a box that you can check for a vet inspection. Now, I don't know if they require that, or, you know, we have inspection races. Every race is inspected in Sunland. So do you use that as inspection? I really couldn't find exactly what to do about that, but I got the horses registered. So it looked to me, they said, okay, and you're okay to enter. Reading the reading I did, you know, it looks like whoever they is can do average competition testing, which they already do. It didn't look like there was more testing. I guess it'll all go to one lab now. I know a lot of people are upset about it. There's lawsuits. Texas has opted out. And but you know, come July 30th, when Albuquerque opens up, I plan on being able to run. So the compliance wasn't that hard. You know, I guess people say they won't register. Well, I know the Downs of Albuquerque has said, if you can enter, they'll take your entries, but the horse is going to have to be registered before he can run. So, I mean, I think that's just where it is. And their website was very user friendly. I think the Horsemen's Association is going to have people in their office to help people that are not computer literate. It is in English and Spanish. And so they will help people, or I will help people that need help. And that's where I'm at on it. I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but it is what has happened. So I don't think it's going away.
Yeah, like you said, you want to run, so you need to be registered, right?
Yes.
And you got your owners registered too, I assume.
No, well, what you do is when you register their horse, you can send them an email that says register. So the only one I've done so far is my sister who owns a horse. She got the email. I will as we get closer. I mean, I've got time. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's Ruidoso people that are probably, I'm not running up there. So, you know, by July 1st, I've got till July 30th. Plus you can enter. You've just got to have your owner and horse registered before they run. So, you know, it's not like they're holding your feet to the fire. Just before he runs, you've got to get it done.
Yeah, my understanding, Nancy, is before scratch time.
Yeah, well, scratch time's the day before. So
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna work on. I'm slowly doing a couple a day, and then I will send emails to owners that sends them the link, and they just got to go in and put their license number. So it was pretty painless, actually.
Yeah, good. That's good to hear. Thank you. Regarding HISA, I participated in a Zoom meeting, and I asked one of their lead attorneys that's a member of the authority whether the breeders as an association needed to be registered. And he paused and thought about it. He goes, I'm not sure, but maybe you should. So Mary raised an interesting question a couple of days ago to me, that since we are a mixed breed registry, obviously quarter horses and thoroughbreds, would it still apply to us? And I've reached out to a person I know well on the board with HISA, and I've yet to hear back. And as soon as I do, I'll let you all know what I learned. So until then, Mary is holding off registering the Breeders Association with HISA. So we'll see where that goes.
You could get sick watching him.
Anybody else have questions regarding HISA?
Susie's got her hand up.
It's not regarding HISA. Vanessa has texted me and she's asking to be let back in the meeting because she has questions by members that she needs to ask. So
she's in the lobby right now.
Okay. Anybody else like to weigh in on? I'll open this up to the public. Mary, if you want to call on folks that have their hands up.
Well, Jay Taylor has his hand up, but I think he wants to talk about. I think he wants to talk about the first item, and so does Deborah Loney.
Fine, we can.
There you go. Now you're on the screen.
Oh, and I think the McKinnons are here also.
Whoever you want to call on first, Mary, it's up to you.
Raise your hand.
Okay. I'm sorry, I think Jay Taylor has had his hand up the longest, so maybe we should let him in.
Sure.
Okay, Jay. Can you unmute?
Hello.
Jay?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I kind of wanted to weigh in on the previous topic that you had a little bit. I was on the board when we voted to stay neutral as far as the lawsuit went with the Horsemen. And if I remember right, it wasn't unanimous, but the majority voted. And the only reason we voted to do that is that we felt this was a Horseman issue. And we also, I think, felt that it could get pretty nasty before it was over with, which I think has proven true. It had nothing to do with us being against the Horsemen. And you had a very good working relationship. There was no thought of ever taking over what the Horsemen were going to do. It was just, we voted to stay neutral on the issue and let the Horsemen deal with it. And had the roles been reversed, I would not have blamed the Horsemen for doing the same thing. Now, with that said, where we're at now, I think cooler heads need to prevail. It does not do any good to walk around throwing hand grenades out and stirring things up. Make your point and kind of be done with it is what I would suggest. And Tom might want to consider you and a couple of the board members sitting down with the Horsemen and having a little meeting and see what we can do to help each other a little. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay, Deborah Laney was next, and then I'll call on Mr. McKenna. So Deborah, if you'll unmute.
She's going to talk to Deborah and then she'll come to you.
I'm sorry, Deborah, I think I muted you again. If you'll
Yeah, you
unmute-
did.
There you go.
I
There
don't
you go,
blame
sorry.
But no, I've been listening to all the board members' opinions on the previous subject of the commission meeting on Thursday, and I don't disagree with anybody. I think that, you need to wait until you hear the total scope of what they're thinking or what they want you to do, if anything. But something just came to my mind, and I'm certainly not a lawyer and not trying to be one. But the thing that came to my mind that I would just ask you to think about, not trying to change anybody's mind, but if they're going to go down this path and give the signal to somebody else, you know who's next in line, I think, the same people that's getting the money. So I'm not saying not support the Horsemen. I'm just saying if the commission's going to do it, they're going to do it. And I just think that should be part of your thought process. I'm not saying change anything. I'm just saying if like Jay said, tempers are high on both sides, commission and Horsemen. And if the commission is bound and determined to take away the signal, then they may give it to tracks is what I've heard. I don't know that's a fact, but that's what I've heard. And that's all
Okay. Okay, Mr. McKenna, it's your turn. If you'd like to speak.
Scoot up where they can hear you.
Good morning, I'm Tom McKenna. I'm one of the largest breeders and owners in the state. I'm very disappointed in the no action decision by this board. You need to send a message to the racing commission that you want no part of this. You don't need to kick the can down the road and let the racing commission, which is a wolf in the hen house, make any kind of decision. They run rampant over this industry. They have not represented the industry in any way at all. They've been arbitrary in every issue that's come up, and it's time to put an end to it. It's time to let them know that we want no part of this. You need to take a vote today, no, and let them know. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any more people with their hands up. Did anybody want to speak again, or anybody want me to let Vanessa back in, or no? Oh, Tom, you're muted.
Mary.
Yes, Nancy?
I agree with Tom. McKenna, this does go to the commission, but maybe, and I know maybe you guys say you don't know what their intent is, But maybe, since we were gonna go for a vote, and it doesn't have to be today, it could be tomorrow, maybe we should take a vote that if they ask us that, I mean, instead of them just assigning it, because we know they can do whatever they want, that they know we're gonna say no. And maybe that is a vote we should take and see where our board stands on that.
Okay, Helen?
I agree with Tom and Nancy. I don't think that we ought to be saying, I think we ought to be proactive.
I agree too.
Can I enter something in here?
Sure,
Of course,
Werner.
Um, I think this whole thing stinks, and I don't think we want to get in there because it's going to open up a can of worms, and I think we want to stay plumb out of it and try to stay as neutral as we can. But I do think that I agree with Nancy that we ought to have a vote and see how people feel about it on our board. But also, I don't see where we can make a decision for our whole membership. I think the membership that I have heard from are against anything like this at all. And I can't say that I don't agree with them. But for the board to make a decision, that's fine to have a vote of the board and see where we stand. But when it comes down to whether we accept or we don't accept,
This is going to need to go to the membership, the people who we represent.
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, Werner. Well, some interesting things for us to think about. Here's what I'd recommend is that the board do. Let's take a deep breath. Let's think about it. If we can just discuss it, and if the majority of the board wants to have a vote prior to hearing what the commission has to say, obviously we'll follow the board's wishes. My recommendation, however, like I previously stated, is I think us taking a vote prior to the commission meeting is probably unnecessary. If we can wait and see what the commission has to say and then make a decision, I don't see what the harm is in waiting until after Thursday's commission meeting. Maybe we can have a meeting on Friday and discuss it once we know what they have to say. Because again, folks, at this point, like I said at the beginning of my opening remarks, this is a discussion item that the commission is undertaking. I'd like to hear that discussion before we have a vote. That's just my opinion. So with that, Mary, unless there's anybody else that wants to weigh in, I'm really not interested in hearing Vanessa go on like she has been. That's me. But with that being said, unless anybody else on the board wants to weigh in, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Tom has his hand up. McKenna.
Okay, Mr. McKenna.
I disagree with your position, Mr. Goncharoff. All you're doing is kicking the can down the road. You cannot let the racing commission make any kind of decision because it's nothing but a kangaroo court. If you let them know that you want no part of this thing, then and only then can we proceed down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. But again, I'll reiterate that this is a discussion item on the commission's agenda, meaning that they won't be making a decision at that meeting. It's a discussion item, not an action item. An action item, they would be voting on assigning whatever authorities to the breeders. But again, it is a discussion item, and I would urge us to listen to this discussion before we move forward. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to adjourn from Mr. Query. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Is that Mac?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Any opposed? Okay. Again, thank you all for attending. We got a lot to think about, a lot to work on, and we'll see where this is going to go. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you again.
Thank you.
This wasn't a voting meeting anyway. It was an agenda meeting. I mean, it was a discussion. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying it wasn't